Today's reading is from Fu Xin's Book of Thoughts on Silence, Wisdom and Meditation. Being silent. Practicing silence to empty all kinds of noise within us is not a difficult practice. With some training, we can do it. In noble silence, we can walk, we can sit, we can enjoy a meal. When we have that kind of silence, we have enough freedom to enjoy being alive and to appreciate all the wonders of life. With that kind of silence, we are more capable of healing ourselves, mentally and physically. We have the capacity to be there, alive, because we really are free from our regrets and suffering concerning the past, free from our fear and uncertainty about the future, free from all kinds of mental chatter. Being silent in this way, when we are alone, is good, and being silent in this way together is particularly dynamic and healing. Experiencing problems. When we experience problems, either internal or external, our narrow, unskillful mind only makes them worse. When someone with an itchy skin condition scratches it, he feels some temporary relief and thinks his scratching has made it better. In fact, his scratching has made it worse. We are like that. We do the same thing every day of our lives. Instead of trying to stop problems like this, we should relax and rely on our skillful, silent mind. But silence does not mean dark, non-functioning, sluggish or sleepy. The seed of Zen. A man once took a flower and without a word held it up before the men seated in a circle around him. Each man in turn looked at the flower and then explained its meaning, its significance, all that is symbolic. The last man, however, seeing the flower, said nothing, only smiled. The man in the centre then also smiled and handed him the flower. This is the origin of Zen. Desire and attachment. Once upon a time, a man who had been walking became thirsty. He saw a spring flowing out of a log and bent down to drink his fill. When his thirst was satisfied, he raised up his hand and said to the spring, "I am satisfied now. You can stop flowing." The spring, of course, did not hear his words, but kept flowing out of the log as before. When he saw this, the man became angry and said again, "I told you that I was finished drinking and that you should stop flowing. Why then do you keep flowing?" A person who was nearby saw what was happening and said to the man, "You are a fool. Why do you keep ordering the water to stop flowing? Why don't you just move on yourself?" Ordinary people in this world are just like that foolish man. They drink their fill of desires of the senses, and when they are tired of it all, they say, "Enough, world of the senses, please go away. I have drunk my fill of you." The world of the senses, of course, never heeds their words, but just continues to flow. In response to this, most people just continue complaining. They say, "I told you to go away. Why do you keep after me all the time? I am tired of you." To this a wise man would say, if you want our passions to stop, we have to leave them, for they will never leave us by themselves. When we have learnt to be unattached to our senses, our delusions will decrease, and we will find liberation from all of our foolish desires. Most people do not listen to this advice, but instead act like the man in the story. When they are tired of drinking, they order the water to stop flowing. This was taken from the Sutra of 100 Parables. Analysing, blaming, and fixing. One of the greatest hindrances to living a more awake life, a life of satisfaction and appreciation, is that we spend most of our time lost in the mental world. We are literally addicted to our thoughts, whether we are planning, fantasizing, worrying, dramatizing, conversing, or whatever. If we are honest, isn't it true that most of our time is spent spinning in thoughts? There are 3 habitual grooves where most of us get caught spinning in the mental world: analysing, blaming, and fixing. These conditional patterns are detours from being present to reality, and taking any one of them guarantees that we will perpetuate the storyline of me. In fact, being caught in the mind, whether through analysing, blaming, or fixing, is one of the prime aspects of the me phase of our practice. Sounds of silence. Silence is often described as the absence of sound, yet it is also a very powerful sound. There are 5 true sounds. The first is the wonderful sound, the sound of wonders of life that are calling us. This is the sound of the birds, the rain, and so on. The second sound is the sound of the one who observes the world. This is the sound of listening, the sounds of silence. The third sound is the Brahma sound. This is the transcendental sound, Om, which has a long history in Indian spiritual thought. The fourth sound is a sound of the rising tide. This sound symbolizes the voice of the Buddha, the teaching of the Buddha that can clear away misunderstanding, remove affliction, and transform everything. It is penetrating and effective. The fifth sound is the sound that transcends all sounds of the world. This is the sound of impermanence, a reminder not to get caught up in or too attached to particular words or sounds. The Buddha said things are very simple and did not get caught up in words. So, if a teaching is too complicated, it's not the sound of the Buddha. If what you are hearing is too loud, too noisy, convoluted, it is not the voice of the Buddha. Wherever you go, you can hear the fifth sound. It is the sound that transcends all sounds of the world.